Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today I'm delighted to be joined by John Dane, who is the product manager at Mass Spec at JEOL USA. And we are actually going to be talking about a new product that John announced to the world at Pittcon at a press conference this week. So John, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Pittcon has been off to a fantastic and frantic start.
Well, that's good to hear, actually. I have to say, I've been to quite a few booths. I've been to your booth as well this week. And the Lab Roots platform is an excellent platform for getting people engaged on the booths. I mean, you can instantly start conversing with people on the platform. You can see who's there for a start and who's there, who's live, and who you can talk to and start talking to. It's actually a very good platform. Really enjoyed using it this week.
Yeah, same. We've been very satisfied with how it's performed with our booth for sure. So
Fantastic. So we're here to talk about your exciting new launch, which I'll let you reveal. But before we do that, perhaps for people not familiar with Joel's business, you give us a quick overview and a quick overview of your background as well.
Sure. So JEOL as a company has been around since 1949. That we released back then a transmission electron microscope, and that is actually a major driving force in our business. A major part of our business is microscopy, electron microscopes in particular. And since then, we've expanded into products like NMR, mass spec, these kinds of things, scanning electron microscopes, all of that. So the thing I will say is that we're not a new company, and certainly within the mass spec products, we've been around since 1963, and so we've really been, we're committed to this product. We're committed to this product line. It is something that we are very excited about every time we have a new instrument come out, and in the case of our systems, we've definitely got some new stuff to show that we're very excited about. As far as myself, I'm originally from Texas. Went to Colorado School of Mines in Golden, Colorado, to get my PhD. Got it in applied chemistry back in 2006. From there, I actually went on to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory there in Golden, Colorado, just up the road. And at that point, about 2008, I moved on to JEOL. As it turns out, I was actually a user before I came on with Joel. So I actually cut my teeth on GCM-SMS on their large sector instruments, or our large sector instruments, I should say now, since I'm with the company. And more recently, so I joined as an applications chemist. More recently, I just got promoted to the mass spec product manager position just last year. And since then, it's just been a lot of responsibilities.
Well, congratulations on the promotion. And so that leads us quite nicely, talking about your promotion and your role as product manager of Mass Spec, to talk about the new product that you've launched at Pitcon this week. So what is it that you've launched, and I suppose why?
Sure. So our latest product is the basically we've got like a whole string of numbers and all of this, but it's the JMS T2000 GC. The actual name itself is the AccuTOF GC-Alpha. This system is actually our 6th generation instrument. So every generation has seen improvements here and there. And so this has really kind of culminated to the GC-Alpha system.
Right.
I will say too that along with the GC-Alpha system, there's also a new version of software that comes with it that will help with data analysis. Really, that's the focus of that. And as far as this system is concerned, what it really significantly improves upon is our resolution capabilities. So we're at 30,000 resolution now. Previous generation was 10,000 resolution. And our mass accuracy has been improved as well from 3 ppm to 1 ppm. These two technologies, or these two improvements, are very significant in that they allow us to not only separate masses that are very similar, so we're looking past the decimal place, in terms of that information, but also the accuracy part is improved in a way that allows us to essentially get at very strong information for what that elemental composition is. So in other words, the identity of the compound itself. And then the software itself that I briefly mentioned, and we'll discuss a little bit more further, is really a tool that utilizes all of these capabilities with the instrument.
Right. So what sort of core workflows and applications and industries would the new instrument be more applicable for?
So the new instrument is really, we see a lot of strength for it in the petroleum industry, as
Right.
well as in the materials analysis industry. For petroleum, we really are uniquely positioned because of our ionization technology that we have in the mass spectrometer itself.
Right.
In this case, we actually offer a couple of different types of ionization sources that are combination sources. One of them is the EIFI FD combo source, and this one in particular is extraordinarily useful for the petroleum industry. And then we also offer an EI photoionization type of combination source. And where this is really important is that the EI, or electron ionization, is that library searchable type of technology. So
Right.
we do the actual measurement, it breaks that molecule into a fingerprint pattern, and then we can compare that to a database. And the databases are quickly approaching, 1 million different compounds now.
Right.
They're very thorough, but with that said, you can't always solve everything with the database. And so you really need to have some other capabilities. And so if you have something like the soft ionization techniques involved as well, it can help with the identifying things that you just aren't able to identify in the database searches alone. It is not uncommon to come across compounds, whether it's in petroleum or material science, that are not actually in the databases. And so you will have a much harder time identifying them without additional information. And
Right.
that's where we really feel that this tool comes into play.
Brilliant. And you mentioned obviously it comes with the software. So what's unique about the software?
Great. Yeah. So the software itself is called MS Fine Analysis. It is purely a data analysis software package. Right. And so what it does is it takes the information that you measure by GC-EI and GC soft ionization, combines that. So you're basically doing 2 injections, and then from there you compare the chromatograms between those 2 injections to identify, where the common peaks are, so that you can say, all right, this EI pattern goes with this molecular ion, and so on, and you can just work through it. And this is really significant in the sense that so much of the time, if you're a GC analyst, you spend so much time going through peak by peak, trying to decide what you're actually looking for. This software actually will go in and make those connections. It will deconvolute the peaks from each other. So if you have a little bit of overlap, it'll separate those ions into the appropriate peaks. And then from there, it ties those 2 files together so that you can then use it, or I should say the software can then use it to go through all of the steps that it does. And these steps include the library search, the molecular ion identification, the calculation for the molecular ion elemental composition, looks at the isotope patterns, which are quite nice on our system. So that gives you clues about which elemental compositions could be appropriate. And it also uses those identified possible molecular ion elemental compositions as search constraints for the fragment ions. So you're getting the accurate masses of the fragment ions as well. And so if all of the fragments, if you use that elemental composition as a suspicious one that you think might be correct, you can compare it against the, I should say the software compares it against the actual fragments and figures out, is that logical or not? And so even if the database does not come back with a good match, you can at least get at an elemental composition for that unknown. And then with an informed, impression from the analyst, or, discussion amongst the peers there, you can figure out what would maybe be the most appropriate. So the beauty of this software is it's color coded. So as an analyst, it just does everything for you. And then you get this nice table at the end that's color coded, and blue would indicate that it's just got one elemental composition. So you can, as an analyst, you can say, well, that's already been identified. So you can move on to the other colors, which
Right.
yellow would be one that might have multiple matches, might be just two, could be 4 or 5, just depends. And then you as an analyst can go in and look at the data individually to decide. So it's not uncommon for a measurement where you might have 100 different compounds that have been detected, and maybe 80 or 90 of those compounds have already been identified as with a single elemental composition, but you've got a handful of them that have not. So you can imagine this just takes all that heavy lifting out of the data analysis itself.
Well, I think it's just a reflection of the current trend, isn't it, of trying to take the tedious and mundane out of the research and scientists' hands and allow them to actually be scientists. As you said, they can do the analysis and start looking at what the root causes are without having to do the repetition and the
Right, right.
mundane workflows.
There is one thing more I should add. So the latest generation of this software actually adds a compare function as well. So you can actually take two different, samples. Maybe it's a good sample versus a bad sample if you're in some sort of manufacturing environment, and it will tell you what's different about those. And it also does that in a color-coded way as well. So we felt like this was particularly important in that materials analysis group.
And the software itself, is it only, can you only use it with JOL instruments, or is it applicable or usable with other types of instruments as well?
Right now, we only have this available on the GC-Alpha system.
Right.
It is backwards compatible to our T200 GC systems as well, so the previous generations, but we do not offer it in a format that will read a common data format.
Right.
NetCDF is that commonly termed scenario. So right now, it is only available on the GC-Alpha.
Right. Okay. And what's the availability like then of the new instrument than the GC Alpha? I mean, is it available now to buy?
It is. It is. We as of Monday when we announced it, it is available to buy. But we also have been kind of pre-selling this. We actually have a system going into Caltech
Right.
that will be arriving in their lab end of May, early June, and we're quite excited. They're quite excited, and looking forward to seeing what they end up doing with the system. It is going in one of their core facilities, though, so it will get wide use for a variety of applications in that case.
Fantastic. And I suppose that leads on to another question, is that, these instruments are, not cheap, and servicing and looking after them is very important. So how have JOL been able to support its customers through the pandemic in terms of giving them that service support, and also looking ahead for the foreseeable future? How are you able to sort of support your customers now?
Yeah, so we actually pride ourselves at Joel for our service in particular, but also application support as well. With the pandemic, it really ushered in this whole, doing everything over the web as much as possible, at least early on when everything was really locked down. And so it really refined our skills in terms of being able to remote in to support the customers.
Right.
We do have, a number of engineers available to support the customers. And now that things are opening up, our engineers are, really actually going on site now. Of course, it's case by case because every facility and even in the different states, they have different rules. And so we, of course, will abide within those restrictions. But it's been, it was a little bit early on, maybe a little bit rough, making that transition.
Sure.
But we've really sort of come a long way over the last year to get to this stage where it really is not a hiccup at all for us to be able to support our customers.
Brilliant. And if people want to see a demo of the new instruments, where can they see a demo?
Okay, so we actually, our demonstration system is scheduled to be here at the end of the month. So we have a little bit of a disconnect between now and then. But as of the 1st of April, we will be able to do live demonstrations, whether it's people coming to our demonstration lab, or if they, if they want to just do it more of in a web type of environment, we absolutely can do that as well.
Right. Okay. But at Pitcon, if they want to know more, I understand you've got some sessions running as well, though, at Pitcon around it.
We do. So, of course, lots to learn if you want to go to the booth, for sure. But we also have a couple of presentations that we're giving on Friday of this week. They're in a session at 1:30. It's called Routine GCMS. There's a little bit rest of the title that's kind of odd. It's something about it. It's not routine, I think, is really what they're trying to say. But our presentations are basically back to back. One is at 1:50 and one is at 2:10. So you're talking about 20-minute presentations. And it would be great to have anybody who sees this join us for that session.
Brilliant. Now, one final question as I've got you is that obviously looking at mass spec, from your perspective, as being around mass spec for this year and going forward.
You cut out. I'm sorry. I
Well,
didn't hear your
well,
question.
let me ask you.
Sorry.
No, let me ask you then. So, sorry, what I was saying was that every year there seems to be a different trend around mass spec instrumentation. So, what do you think this year's trend will be around mass spec?
Well, given the current state of events with the COVID and that sort of thing, we're really, I would expect that, you know, pharmaceutical is going to be a major area. Biological mass spectrometry is going to be a major area. You're really going to, you know, I think that that's really going to be pushing things along in the mass spec community. With that said, you know, systems like ours would be more in a support role, looking at maybe the starting materials that these groups would be needing and that sort of thing, whether it's drugs or, you know, whatever it is, because you would basically need this kind of tool to help with that small molecule stuff that you build everything out of.
Fantastic. All right. Well, look, John, good luck with the launch. It's great that you've already got your first sale. That always helps, doesn't it? So
It does.
good luck with the launch. Good luck with the presentation on Friday as well. And have a great week at Pittcon. I'm sure there'll be lots of people coming to the booth. So if people would like to know more, there will be a link above the video with a press release on the new product. You can go to the website, you can link in with John and ask him questions directly, or you can put some comments below the video. And if you're attending Pittcon, as I said, it's a very easy way to connect and network with people at the show. It's a really simple platform. So if you already are at Pittcon this week, then make sure you pop over to the JEOL booth and have a chat with John and the team, because I'm sure they'll be happy to talk about not just this new product, but the other things that they've got on the booth. They've got lots of exciting new instruments there as well. So they'll be happy to help you with it and give you advice as well on anything you need to know within those areas. So John, all that stuff when he says, have a great show. Thank you for your time. It's lovely to see you.
Great, thank you.
And I wish you a fantastic year, lots of success with the launch, and a happy and healthy and successful 2021. And to everyone watching, same to you all, of course. Check out the booth, and until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.